Good evening and welcome to another live stream from No Tanks Towers. Before we start, I would like to announce that the NTX apnea app is now available on both Google Play and in the Apple App Store. Marius has done a fantastic job with the coding, and the look of it, thanks to B, is amazing. So thank you very much for you guys for putting it together, and the end result is an amazing app. So it's free, so I suggest you go and buy it, give it a go. It's got 7 of our exercises in there, all based on our philosophy and the idea of progression rather than just pushing and kind of just pushing for numbers. All right? So it's useful for everybody, whether you're competitive freediver or just somebody just interested in starting out, or spear fisherman, whatever underwater photographer, whatever your penchant is, then the app's out there for you. I say it's free, so give it a go and let us know what you think. So I apologise for last week. We didn't have a live stream. I was in Cornwall, which is known for having really bad signal. Wi-Fi wasn't available, so I had to go, or try and go. Didn't work, so I apologise. There was no live stream last week, but this week we're back. So this week we're going to talk about snorkels. Okay, insignificant small tube. I've had more arguments about snorkels over the last 20 years than any other piece of equipment. And interesting why people use them, or why they think they should use them, or etc. etc. Where do they come from? So why is it so drilled in to people that freedivers use snorkels? And that's because all the major agencies insist that you use one, or at least heavily persuade people to use them. And they are really good at doing certain things, but nobody thinks, why do we use them? Nobody thinks why. Well, not nobody. Obviously I have, and we have, and other people have, else there wouldn't be a discussion. But most people just use them because they've been told they should use them, because of the agencies have it in their teaching materials. And it comes from the competitive freedivers, where laying face down before a dive, a competition dive, you have a snorkel in, and in fact, in a few of the exam questions, it's about talking about putting foam on them so that when you throw them away before you dive, they float, they don't sink, and you don't lose a snorkel every time you do a competition dive. But these days, there aren't that many top competitive freedivers that are using snorkel. So that kind of concept is out of date a little bit anyway. So I want to talk about why you'd use them, and later on how to use them. Okay, so there are 3 main uses for a snorkel. Number 1, snorkeling. When you are out just with your swim shorts on and a pair of little flippers that you've bought from the local shop, and you're in somewhere hot and you want to see some fish. You whack snorkeling and you can see fish. This is snorkeling. This is not freediving, this is snorkeling. Okay. Next up, spearfishing. So quite a lot of most, in fact, well, I'm going to say all, because I've never met a spearfisherman who doesn't use a snorkel. And this is because usually they are overweighted. That's the wrong word, because overweighted kind of suggests that they've got the wrong amount of weight. They haven't. They've got the right amount of weight for spearfishing, because they want to sit on the bottom completely motionless. So they've got quite a lot of weight on, which means they hold heavy in the water or low in the water. So breathing is tough without a snorkel. Whether they're laying on the front or up, right, it doesn't matter. But they've got, they're overweighted on purpose, so they can sit at the bottom of the water, sit at the bottom of the dive and wait for the fish. Whereas if we're free diving, we tend not to be that heavy and tend to have the water a little bit higher. Okay, that's the difference. So, on the surface, water's a little bit higher, we can breathe. Spear fishermen tend to have a little bit more weight, a little bit lower down. So a snorkel makes it a lot easier. Third one I've already covered is competitions, where people say it isolates them. They can relax laying face down in the water. That's fine. Okay. Equally well, and another flip side of the competitions, you'll see quite a lot of the safety divers wearing a snorkel, and this is because they are specifically being paid, as it were, to look down the rope. Okay, they may be holding a rope, they may be checking for the diver to come back, or checking if the other safety is there, or they are, that looking down is actually what they're doing. In a similar way to when you go snorkeling, you're going down looking for fish, or no, you're staying on the surface looking for fish. Same as safety divers in a competition, they're staying on the surface and looking down. So that's the uses for them. But what are the dangers of them? So we don't tend to use snorkels in no tanks because of 3 or 4 really major reasons. The first is that it's bad communication. When we go out with a group of people, or even 2 or 3 people, you want to talk to each other. Now, in the past week, we've had 2 people join us from outside the club, and they put a snorkel in. I said, we don't tend to use snorkels. Oh yeah, but I love a snorkel. I love using a snorkel. Okay. As soon as they put their face underwater, this is before we've even left the edge of the sea, because we were in Cornwall last week. I've said, Bob, 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 Bob. And in the past, we ended up throwing things at people to try and get their attention when you're too far away and you can't poke them. Because as soon as you have your face underwater with a snorkel, you have no way, you're isolated. There's no way of communication. And this is not what we as a group go out and do. We don't want to be isolated. We want to be talking and chatting. Oh, did you see this? Are you going to do that? I'm going to do this dive. I'm going to do that dive. Why don't you do this? Why don't we do this? We're going to take some photographs. Whatever it is we're talking about. But equally well, we're a team. We're a group. We're a club. We're there to enjoy it together. So as soon as somebody puts a snorkel in them, if they're isolated, and I can't say, hey, Bob, can you just do safety for this? Can you just do this? They're gone. They're out of the group. So that's the number one reason we don't use them in no tanks. More technical reasons are it's bad air. As soon as you wear a snorkel, all the air that the stale air you've just breathed out into the snorkel, the first thing you're doing is breathing it back in. Now, a snorkel like this maybe holds 150 milliliters. That's not that much. But if you're breathing out through the mouth, the dead air space in the mouth is also getting refreshed. So I have seen somebody calculated up to 2 liters of air. I think that's a bit excessive. So we'll go for kind of a liter. A liter of air that you would expel into the atmosphere is recycled when you use a snorkel. Whatever the figure is to it, it's a lot of air. And I don't like that. I don't like the concept of your last breath breathing in the air that you just breathed out. Equally well, when we're not using a snorkel, we would encourage people to be still watching people underwater. And the way you do that is you take a breath, put your face in the water and watch. And you're going to blow bubbles slowly. You watch your buddy or whatever that's going on. You lift your head, put your face underwater, blow bubbles. So you're encouraging a short inhalation and a long exhalation. It's very difficult not to have that breathing pattern if you haven't got a snorkel. So if there's an emergency and you need to dive straight away, you've already been breathing up. Not necessarily 5 in and 10 out, but the correct breathing ratio. Short inhalation, long exhalation. You don't have to think about it, it just happens. As soon as you have a snorkel in, your breathing will tend to get smaller. Of course, you can control it, and if you are in a competition, as we've said already, using a snorkel, your only focus is your breathing. So your breathing is going to be good and you're going to be controlling it. But in a normal circumstance, your breathing is just going to become tidal and you're not ready to do a dive, which you may need to do in an emergency situation. So they're the 3 reasons that we don't use them. It's bad air, bad communication, and bad breathing pattern. That's just what happens. On top of that, I personally don't like a snorkel wobbling around. And in fact, when I talk about how to use it in a minute, you'll see you don't get a wobbly snorkel. Although, if you're using it properly, you don't get a wobbly snorkel. But I see so many people with a badly fitted snorkel and it, as they're swimming through the water. That's not what I'm up for. I don't want a wobbly snorkel flapping in my face. Equally well, if you've got this thing around your head, this is an entanglement issue. So if you ever see anybody doing a swim through or going through a wreck and they've got a snorkel on or a long weight belt, not tucked in, these are just like red signals, like stop, what the heck are you doing? Why would you have some sort of extra entanglement object strapped to your head when you're going through kind of on a wreck or in somewhere where there could be fishing line or whatever the entanglement danger is? It's why there's no advantage. Throw it. Okay, so there 5 now. We've got 5 issues why I would consider not using. So 3 reasons why we don't use them. 2 reasons or 2 situations where I don't really see you'd have to have a pretty damn good argument to get over those 2. And lastly, and this is to everybody, whether you use a snorkel or not. I suppose it doesn't matter if you don't use a snorkel, then this isn't to you. Whenever you use a snorkel, you must not have it in your mouth when you're underwater. You must not have it in your mouth when you're underwater. Okay? 2 reasons. 1, as you come up, snorkel's full of water. You don't want to be coming up to the surface with a tube full of water jammed in your mouth. Okay? It's just ridiculous. You come up, you've dived a little bit too long, a little bit knackered, there's water being forced into your mouth. That's ridiculous. So you take it out for that reason. The second thing, if the worst case happens and you do have a blackout, the jaw will lock or can lock. And if you've got a snorkel in the mouth, that's not going to help your rescuer at all. So you never dive with the snorkel in your mouth. Just pop it out. And that's just a warning. Okay, so why would you use a snorkel? Well, we've already said relaxation, laying on the surface, fine. Isolate yourself from the people around you. If you're in a competition, fine. If you're going to try and look for fish or just not really diving, but just looking, fine. These are the reasons for using a snorkel. Now, there are various, so that's it. That's why you'd use a snorkel. That's why I wouldn't use a snorkel. Just think about it. Every time you put your kit on, you should be thinking, why have I got this? Why have I got this piece of equipment? Is it making my life easier? Is it making it harder? So you're kitting up. Why haven't I got a knife? Well, I should have a knife. Get a knife. Why am I wearing a monofin? Because I'm going super deep. Why am I wearing one fin? Because I want to look like a mermaid. Fine, whatever it is. And the same with a snorkel. Why am I wearing a snorkel? Does it make my life easier? Does it make my life harder? That's it. That's what you think about. So there's various snorkels available. So here we have a front snorkel, which is for monofinning, surface monofinning, which we use in our training sessions. So it's called a front snorkel. It goes on the front. Okay, and this is to stop the wobbling, so it cuts through the water on the front of the mouth, front of the head. I can't see you using it in open water unless you're doing a long distance monofin in open water. Doesn't really make sense. It's tough to get out of your mouth, so I've already said you shouldn't be going underwater. This is just another simple one. Now you'll see all the snorkels I'm showing you do not have valves. Valves are toys, don't have a valve. The point of a valve is that you can keep the snorkel in your mouth and then no water gets in when you come to the surface. But we've already said you're taking it out, so that kind of makes it null and void. The valves never really work, so you're always breathing in a little bit of water. It's horrible. Just go for a standard, simple tube. Yeah, super easy. Now, if you buy a decent one, it won't come with a clip. Okay, so why? Well, let me show you. So, if you have the classic clip on the side of your mask, okay? Now this one obviously isn't meant for a clip, so it doesn't kind of go into my mouth, okay? But you see where the snorkel is, okay? So it's attached to the side of my mask. As I lean forward in the water, the snorkel is going to be very close to being in the water. So we don't wear it on the side. That's why the good snorkels don't come with a clip, because clips are not where we wear the snorkel. I'm going to show you this one. This, by the way, is the best snorkel I have ever owned. I've never advertised a snorkel, but this Oma Slalom, the best snorkel. It's just incredible. So, we don't have it on the side. When we're laying face down in the water, we want it on the back of the head. So, simply take the strap, feed it through. Did you see that? I think maybe I was too low. So, just literally half the strap, feed it through. And when you take it out, it just stays tight to the neck. Okay, super comfortable. Okay? And when you're laying face down in the water, the snorkel is at the back of the head, not poking out the side here. Okay, at the back of the head. A little bit low again. Okay, so you don't want it poking out this way like this. Okay, you want it at the back of the head. There you go. That's how to wear a snorkel. Whew. Right, so I think that's it. I think I've covered everything. The moral of the story is, think about it. There's many people going to tell you that you should do this, you should do that, and this is where most of the arguments or discussions I've had with people, well, you should do it. You should do it. I was told you should do it. Okay, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. You were told to do it. Why? Why are you having a snorkel? Why are you using a snorkel? All right. Now, you'll see me use one quite a lot. I use a snorkel quite a lot. Why? Because I'm filming. So I want to be lining up a shot underwater. Somebody's going to dive into a shot. I can take my breath and then go into the shot. I can just take the camera in one sweeping movement. Okay, I don't have to. I do, quite often. I'll do it without snorkel, and I can, pretty good at holding the camera steady. But if with a snorkel, I can keep my face underwater, be looking at my camera, take my last breath, and dive smooth, and then just obviously just drop the snorkel out. Without a hand, I just drop it. It's easy. So that's why you see me using a snorkel. But when I'm not taking that shot, it's hanging out of the way. So I can chat, so I can line up stuff, so I can tell people, I want a safety here, I want you to do this is the shot we're going to get, blah, 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 etc., etc. And, you know, I'm filming a lot of the time. As soon as I haven't got a camera in my hands, which is rare, as soon as I've got a camera in my hand, there's no need for a snorkel. I won't wear a snorkel. In fact, I'd say even when I have got a camera in my hand, 9 times out of 10, I won't wear a snorkel. Because it's just easier. It's just less things to worry about. Okay, so hopefully that's given you some information about snorkels that you may have not known before. Moral of the story is, think about it. Next thing to remember is the No Tanks app. Go get it from the wherever you get your apps from. Okay, NTX apnea. It's free. Give it a go. Give us some feedback about how you got on with it. Apart from that, and let's have a look and see if there's any questions that have come up. Oh, there is no questions. Fair enough. Hopefully then, that means I've covered everything. Nope, I can't see any. Maybe it's me. If you have got a question, put it in the comments. I'll answer it before next week or during the live stream. Thank you very much for joining us. And thanks to everybody who was at Free Fest last week. We had an amazing time. Sun was out, mill pond calm, sea. Put a few videos up on Facebook, etc., and there's going to be a complete week video going up on YouTube in a couple of days. So stay tuned for that. Thank you very much and see you next week. Ciao, ciao.